Hello everyone, my name is Anvita Bansal and we are back with another lecture, and the topic that we are going to start with today is going to be strings. So the question that we are going to discuss will be reverse words in a given string. So let's have a look at the problem statement. Okay, before that let me check if you guys are able to see me. That's okay. Okay, so in your SDE sheet we are going to begin with this topic of string, and let's move to the problem number 2 from this sheet. So what is the problem? It gives you a string, right? This is a given string. You need to reverse the string without reversing its individual words. Okay, so you are given an input like this, and you have to return an output in such a way that what is the last word in a given string. So you can assume in this input that your dots, okay, these are the separators for each word. Like we used to have spaces in general cases, right? You can consider dots as the separators for each word, and when the last word should be present in the beginning, that means you are reversing the words in the output string. That's what you are doing. So let's try to understand before we start. There are lots of approaches which can be used for this problem. Let's discuss one of them. So okay, what can we do is, the constraint in the problem is that you cannot reverse individual words. First thing, how reversing individual words can give me answer. First thing is that reversing individual words, can it even give me answer? First thing is that, because your problem says you cannot reverse individual words. So first question that should come into your mind is that how can we even get an answer by reversing each word? So I'll just give you an idea. We'll discuss this approach, that how reversing each word will give us answer. What you can do is, let's say this is your given string S. Okay, if I reverse each word of this string, it will look something like this. I dot, you reverse this word, it will come to be EKIL. Okay, let me take only this part of this string, so for your understanding, and then we will try to discuss the output using only this part. Let's say your given string is only I like this. So I am reversing each individual words, and this is going to look something like this. Now you reverse this word, it will come out to be SIHT. Okay, so this is your string right now. Let me take it as current string. Your output string can be now easily formed by using one observation. What you have done is, in this step, you reversed each word individually. Now this is your string. What if you reverse this entire string? What's your entire string? As of now, this looks like this, which I have stored in current. You don't even need an extra string for storing. You can make the changes or the manipulations in the given string as itself, depending upon whatever language you use. You can use different ways. If you are using C++, you can easily use the character array of, you can treat the string as the character array, and it's easier when you do it in C++. But when you any character, okay, I don't know. And if you are doing it in Java, you cannot treat, you will be given an input of the form string, and you cannot directly treat string in the form of a character array. Either you convert it and then do the reversing, okay, that's one thing, or you can create another string and maybe take it as string builder. You can take another string as a string builder, or even you can take the character array. It depends completely upon you. So I'll not get into its detail what method you are going to use, but you need to know what you can do. Okay, so the third and the last step for solving the problem using this method would be, now you reverse the entire string. So when I reverse the entire string, I am treating each individual character, okay, and I start from 0th index and I go till n-1th index. So when I reverse, treat this entire string as one string, and when you reverse, what will come? So this start from the last letter T, followed by H, then I, then S dot. Okay, also you need to make sure while you are using this method, although this method will not work for this problem because they have strictly said you cannot reverse individual words, but you should know this approach as well, so I am discussing it. Then you are reversing LIKE dot I. Okay, and that is all about this problem. Fine, you can handle the cases when you are getting a dot. Whenever you're getting this dot here, you can handle the case, you can put it as it is whenever you're getting the dot, right? So I think this is pretty simple. Okay, but you cannot use this approach, this is prohibited for this problem. Then what can we use for this problem? So let's have a look. So the approach that we are going to use here is also going to be simple, just that we are going to make use of some substrings here. How? Let's iterate in your string. Let's iterate from, let I start from 0. Okay, I starting from 0, and I'm iterating while what? I is less than n. Okay, what am I doing? See, there, what if in the beginning itself you are giving dots? Okay, or not even if in beginning, whenever you are given dots, okay, what will you do? Let's have a look here. Let me write a pseudo code so that I will show you, and then we will understand what we need to do. Okay, before that, let me check if you guys can see me. Okay, and if you guys have any doubts, you can write in the chat as well. Cool. Okay, so when you are, let's start from 0th index, and I am saying, what am I saying here is, while your I is less than n is the length of this entire string, and s dot char at I, let's say it is equal to this dot. Whenever you are encountering this dot, what you should do, I am just incrementing the count of I by 1, because I do not have anything to put in my answer array. Let's just first understand what I'm writing here, then I will explain you what we are doing. Okay, so this is what I'm doing initially. Now what? Let's take int j as I plus 1. If let's say when you are not hitting this loop, or when you are out of this loop, that means clearly that there is no dot. Okay, there is one character. So let's say my I begins from this. I is equal to 0. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Let me create an array of all these characters so that you can understand. It will take some time. Okay, let me just write the indexes only. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This dot is 5. This is 6, 7, 8, 9. Fine, so on and so forth. I start from 0th index. My I is initially at 0. This loop will not hit because there is no dot as of now. Now I'm using another variable which is j here, and it is pointing to. So I is at which position? Let me use it. So your I is at 0th index and your j is at this index, right? That is at first index, I plus 1. So what is first index containing? It is containing a dot. Okay, whenever there is a dot, you know a new word will be starting now. So you are going to do something. What will you do? You are starting from int j equal to I plus 1. So while your j is also less than n, and s dot char at j, that is equal to this dot thing, right? It is not equal to this dot thing, which means that not equal to dot. You increment the count of j, which is telling you that in that word, why I have used this condition. Let's say this I was not just I, this was something like FTI. For example, this was your first string. So I start from F, and what I have done is I have put j starting from I plus 1. Now j keeps on incrementing until I find a dot, right? So until I find a dot, my j will keep on incrementing. It starts from F, it goes to T, I, and then it comes at this position. I is still at 0 and j now comes at this position. So when j comes at this position, this means I have already encountered a dot. That means I have crossed one word at least. That now I have already found one word, and I should put into my result. Okay, the result in whichever form I want the final string to be, I should put it into that. Now if I want this FTI, like, let me take some smaller examples so that it will be easier for you to understand. I am assuming you have already understood by now, because it's just a dry run that I am going to do. So let me use this Geeks, G-E-E, wait, take an array. It's not an array, but for your understanding, we are taking it. Let's take it. This is G, E, E, K, S, right? And I'm just randomly using anything, any word, Geeks, code, right? For example, this is your given string. Use wait, and before this, Geeks. There should be one more. Wait. Okay, 1 minute. And here is a full stop. Here is a dot. Right, so basically your worded geeks.code. This is your word, and what you would want to return is code.geeks, right? This is what you want to return. So I start from I equal to 0. This is I, and this is your j at one index. Now what I'm doing is I keep on incrementing the, see, while your str.caret_i is dot, you increment the count of I. That means if, let's say for example, there was a dot here, what you want to do, you don't want anything, you just want to bring your I to that position where your word is starting from. Okay, so this is for that case. Okay, now I is at already G, which is not a dot. You come at the next condition, while your j is less than n and your s.caret j is not equal to this dot, then you increment the count of j until you find a dot, right? You are doing j plus plus j. Now your j is at this position. Let's say when j is at this position, you will come out of this while loop, right? For example, when your j is at this dot position, when you will check for this condition, s.caret j is not equal to a dot, this condition will fail and you come out of this while loop. Now when you come out of this while loop, I will store this word from I till j. Now you see, if I consider the string from I to j minus 1th index, right? This 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is index 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if you see from index 0 to index 4, this is just one word which I want in my answer in the end, right? So I have already taken some string ANS in which I am going to store my final answer. Let's take string current. So string current will be what? It will be s dot substring from I to j. When you use this substring method of a string, when you use this, what does first denote? The first this variable denotes that your starting character is at ith index, and the substring is ideally taking the substring from I to j minus till j minus 1th index. So this is how indexing is done when you use s dot substring. Okay, then obviously the thing goes on. Now your I becomes, wait, now there is some answer in which you want to store this answer finally. So you will check if your answer is not empty, answer dot length, you can check it is not equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, that means nothing has yet stored, and you will directly use this answer as equal to current. That means you will store this current string into your answer. So answer currently will look like this, geeks. And if not, in the else case you will do what? See, understand this thing. For example, my answer is already containing some letter FT. Okay, FT. Now you want to add this geeks also, but since we are doing it in the reverse order, this in that case means this was FT, you have already put FT here. Now you have found geeks, so you want geeks to be before FT, right? So in that case, what can you do? You manipulate your answer in this way, that answer is equal to the current string that you have, you add that followed by one dot, and then followed by whatever answer it was. So this will become geeks.ft, right? This is what you are doing. And then once you are done with this, you have manipulated your answer. So currently my answer for this, forget FT and everything, currently my answer is containing what? It is containing only geeks, right? It's containing geeks. Fine. So your j was a dot. So your I now starts from which position? J plus 1. That is what you need to understand. Now your I is starting from, your j was here, your I was there. Now I am bringing my, this is index 4, 5. This was your index 5, right? This was your index 6, 7, 8, 9. So j was at this position. Now what I'm saying, bring your I to the next of j, because whenever j stops at somewhere, that means you have found a dot there, and then you manipulate your answer into this answer string. Now you do the same thing again for I equal to j plus 1. Now your I is at this position. We come back to the first line of this while loop again. I is less than n, and s dot caret I is not equal to a dot. That is true. If it is equal to a dot, you do I plus plus, but that is not true for this case. So now you do again, go ahead and find the substring that you want in your answer. So j becomes I plus 1. Now your j is here. So while j is less than n and there is no dot, you do j plus plus. So j will now be at 8th position, then 9th position, and finally this condition will not hold true when you will try to move your j further at nth. When you are at nth index, this condition will come out of this loop, right? The condition will fail, we come out of the loop, and then we again calculate what is the substring now. So I to j, your I is still at c, right, at 6th index, your j is n. So ideally I to j minus 1, 1th index will be the substring that will be calculated now. So this code will check if your answer dot length is 0. That is not true, you already have geeks in it. So what it will do, it will add this current string which is code, and then it will add a dot as well, followed by this dot will be added after code, and geeks was already stored in answer, which we will add. So it will look like this, and that is the entire dry run using this solution. Okay, before we move to the code, let me tell you this time complexity is actually taking more than what is required, which is big O of n. I think they are expecting in big O of s, which I think is the length of the string they are wanting. But we will be able to solve, we will be able to submit the answer using this solution. But the thing here is that, see, you are iterating over the entire length of the string, and right, you are doing that. Also, when you come out of this smaller while loop, you are always doing what? You are making I equal to j plus 1. So this is corresponding to the bigger while loop. Clear? We will code it and you will understand. So what is the time complexity of this solution? You are using a bigger for loop which is iterating over the entire length, and within that, in order to form the substring, you are iterating using another variable j, right? It is iterating over the entire string. So that will possibly go in the worst case time complexity big O of n square. So this is one method by which we can submit this solution. We are not using any extra space. So let's try to solve this using this method. We will not give index 2. Let me see. I mean, first will be index 1. Can you please elaborate your doubt so that I can explain it if you still have any doubt? Meanwhile, I'm just moving to the code, and let's code it. So let me start from int I0. Let me take length of string in s dot length. Okay, fine. So I am taking a bigger for loop while I is less than n. Clear? Okay. Then what are we doing? I am checking while I is less than n. Okay, and s dot char at I is equal to your dot character, right? If it is equal to dot character, you don't have to do anything, you just do I plus plus, because this is for the case, for example, your string itself is starting from dot dot dot. Let's say it was dot dot I, because dot for a given string is nothing but it's a character. For us, we are treating it as a separator for two words. But what if we have dot dot dots? In that case, what this code will do, it will ignore the dots and directly start from the first character. While ideally, if it, I'll explain this thing later on. First, let's go with this code only. Okay, you're doing this. If let's say if I is greater than equal to n, just come out of the loop. For example, the entire string that was given to you was dot 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 dot. That's all. So in that case, you will just do nothing. You come out of the loop. You have nothing to write into your final answer. That's how we are writing this code particularly, although you should ideally return that dots only. So for that we can discuss another approach of this question, and that will handle those cases also. Okay, coming back to, now you are taking some variable int j equal to I plus 1. You start your j from I plus 1. So while your j is also less than n, and s dot char at j is not equal to, this should not be equal to your dot character, you are doing j plus plus, right? Now when you find a dot character, either, see, you will come out of this loop in two cases. Either you found a dot character or your length, you are out of bounds. In both the cases, you need to find what substring j has traversed. So string current, let's say cur I'm taking, it will be s dot substring starting from ith index till j. I will give j and it will evaluate till j minus 1th, right? That is how substring takes the indices. Okay, now I would want to also update my answer. So let me take some string ans, which I will return. So if ans dot length is equal to 0, that means I have not added any word. I want the first word to be added, so I will just simply do ans equal to cur. Otherwise I have told you how you are going to write your answer. That will be equal to this current value plus this dot value plus the answer which was originally present into answer. And then what? Then you do j equals to I equals to j plus 1, right? That's what you're doing. And finally, when you come out of this loop, you will return your answer. Let's check if it works. Compile error ans.length. What else? Anything else? 40 ans equals to string ans equals to, let's check. It is C. We're getting the correct output for the sample test case. Let's submit it for all the problems. See, so now you see that all the test cases for this problem have been passed. But what I was discussing using this approach that will not be fulfilled will be this case. For example, your output is of this type. Okay, now let's run for this test case. I just want to throw some light on test cases that are not handled in the given solution, so you should know that. Okay, so now you see we are not handling the case where your string is starting from ... In that case, you are ignoring them and just returning the string like this. Whenever you hit the first character, you are just using that. So obviously this is not it. It is not. And why it is passing? Because the problem is also not demanding you to you handle these cases. That is why this solution is passing. But you can handle these cases also separately. Okay, so I'll leave it up to you. You can give it a thought and try to do it. Try to do some modifications in this. I'll give you a hint. You try to add some, within this while loop, add some condition to handle the cases when your string is starting with ... What can you do? You can count the number of dots, right? And later on you can add them into your final answer. That thing you can handle separately, and then do a custom input, check whether it's passing or not. That's one thing you can do. Okay, now coming on to another solution that I'll discuss. That's also very simple. Why did I not take it in the beginning? Because that is hardly taking any thing to think about this problem. That is a simple thing. So for that you need to know that Java has utility of string.split, s.split. So what split does is split, and you give a delimiter. For example, delimiter is dot, right? So this is the, wait, let me write it properly. s dot split, and then you give a delimiter at which you are considering that split to happen. So this is something like this. Okay, then see what s dot, when I'm writing this, what it is doing, let's say this was my word, geeks dot code dot anything students. Okay, for example, this was your string. So what s dot split delimiter dot will do that, so I'm telling it to split the words whenever it finds a dot, and whenever it finds a dot, each word will be converted as a string. Each word, obviously it's a string only, but each word will be added to an array of strings. This is what split does. So split returns you an object which is an array of all the words, separated by delimiter that you have given here, separated by dot in this case. So we say delimiter, so the delimiter for this case is dot, separated by dot, and they will be added to an array which will be returned to the split function. Okay, this is what split does. So finally your split will look something like this. It will be an array of how many, of length 3, because how many words are there? There are 3 words. Whenever it finds a dot, it will treat one word, it will add it to your string array. So this is geeks, this is code, this is students. Okay, fine. Now traversing over this strings in the form of array has become so easy. What you can do is you just traverse from the last index of this array, right? ARR of n minus 1 will be containing a string which is the last word in your given string, and in this case you also will have to use an extra string for storing answer, obviously, that we were doing in earlier also. String answer is, let's say, this. So you can easily handle when you are encountering the first word, because in that case you do not want any extra dot. Okay, I start my iteration from n minus 1th index for I equal to, I'm writing the pseudocode, I equal to n minus 1, I is greater than equal to 0, I minus minus. Okay, so ans plus equal to what, this ARR, I have already used an int, not int, string of ARR. Okay, that is, this array is of type string, so string of ARR equal to s dot split. So ARR of I, which is starting from the last index, it is adding to itself, and also what, ans, if your I is not equal to 0, that means you are not at 0th index, then once you have stored this students, let's say this students has been stored into your answer, so you should also add one dot after it. So if it is not equal to 0, that means it is not the first word, you always add a dot answer plus equal to this dot character. When what will happen when we are at 0th index, now your answer is students, again you do an iteration, means in your iteration now you are at this index, I is at this index, so answer will do what, it will add code now. So it checks if I is not equal to 0, it is not equal to 0, so it will add a dot after code. Now your I is at this index in the iteration, now you are at 0th index. What you do, your answer is adding this geeks last word. Now it checks I is not equal to 0, no, it is 0, so you will not add any dot after it, and now you finally return answer after this for loop, return answer. That's what we wanted. Okay, I hope you can all do this problem now. So that was all about this, and obviously this solution is not taking ON score of time complexity. So split takes ON of time complexity, and then you are using this one loop which is iterating over this array, which is obviously less than n. If we do not, in the worst case, what will happen, that each character is a word, so in that case it will be ONs, big O of n. So n plus n, big O of n is a time complexity for this solution. Let me also write it. sorry, but I'll really suggest you to first try this method, because some manipulations are being done here in the string, so that understanding needs to be there for you to understand strings, and then you move to split solution. Okay, so you can use string arr equal to s dot split delimiter dot. Okay, I don't know, it was a backslash or a front slash, we'll see. I think it was a front slash. Okay, for let's use string ans equals to for int I equals to let's take int. Okay, no need to take, let's do arr dot length -1, I is greater than equal to 0, I minus. What you are doing ans plus equal to that arr of I. If I is not equal to 0, ans plus equal to dot, right? That's what you are doing, and then finally you are returning this ans. Let's check if we have done it right or not. Not for this case, we are not using the custom case here. Let's use example test case. Okay, so I think it's not reversing or what. Let's check. So that delimiter was not correct the way I have written it. Okay, and if you see, if I use the custom input, it will handle that case also. For example, this was my string, it was starting from dots only. The first code was not able to handle this test case, but this code is able to. So that is why I've discussed another solution also with you all. So today we got to know about 3 approaches, one in which we are reversing each words, one approach using that, but that is prohibited to use for this problem. So we discussed another approach that I will recommend for you to try on your own, okay, by using the substrings. And then later on, the last approach we used was using the split function in Java. So that is all about today's problem. Obviously the time complexity is reduced, it's big O of n, no extra space, except that obviously the string that we are using to return. That's all. Okay then, fine everyone, I think we can wrap the lecture for today. You try this on your own, and tomorrow we'll discuss another problem based on strings. Thank you everyone, we are wrapping this up.